Have you ever wondered why success feels so empty? Why achieving everything society told you to want still leaves you feeling hollow inside? What if I told you that the map to success we've all been following is actually leading us further from ourselves? What do you think about this? Let me know in the comments. I genuinely want to hear your perspective. We live in a world of unprecedented achievement. We can order anything with a click, connect with anyone in seconds, and curate the perfect online image. Yet rates of depression, anxiety, and loneliness have never been higher. The great deception is this: we've been sold a version of success that has nothing to do with what makes us truly alive. Whether you're a student pushing for perfect grades, a professional climbing the corporate ladder, or someone scrolling through the highlight reels of others' lives, we're all chasing external markers that society promised would fulfill us. But have you ever stopped to ask yourself, who decided this was the path to happiness? I'm curious, what's one thing you were told would make you happy that actually didn't? Share your experience below. The Journey, 10 Core Insights. 1. The External Validation Trap. We are taught from childhood that achievement equals worth. Get good grades, win competitions, earn credentials, gather likes. Each external validation becomes a brief hit of dopamine that quickly fades, leaving us hungrier than before. I remember finishing my degree with honors, something I'd worked toward for years. The celebration lasted a weekend. By Monday, I was already asking, what's next? The achievement I thought would fulfill me had evaporated like morning dew. The trap isn't in wanting achievement, it's in believing achievement will heal what's broken inside. Has an achievement you thought would change everything left you feeling surprisingly empty? Tell me about it in the comments. But here's where it gets interesting. The things we're chasing might actually be running us. 2. The wound beneath the chase. Beneath every frantic pursuit is usually a wound we're trying to heal. The promotion chaser might be running from childhood feelings of insignificance. The perfectionist might be fleeing the shame of never feeling good enough. The wealth accumulator might be trying to fill a void of insecurity. As Carl Jung observed, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. What's fascinating is how the same achievement can feel hollow to one person and meaningful to another. The difference isn't in the achievement, but in the wound it's trying to heal. If you feel comfortable sharing, what's one thing you're chasing right now, and what feeling might be driving that chase? Your insight might help someone else connect the dots. What I discovered next completely shifted how I understood success. If you're finding value in this exploration so far, consider taking a moment to like this video and subscribe to join our community of people seeking deeper understanding. Your engagement helps these ideas reach others who might need them. Now let's go even deeper into what's really happening beneath our pursuit of success. 3. The metrics mirage. Modern society has taught us to measure success in just a few narrow ways: money, status, power, followers, likes. But think about it. When you look back at the end of your life, will these be the metrics that mattered most? Nietzsche warned us about this when he wrote about the herd mentality, how easily we adopt values without questioning if they actually serve our deepest nature. I spoke with a man who had built a multi-million-dollar business but missed his children growing up. His voice cracked when he told me, "I won the game everyone said I should play, but it was the wrong game entirely." What's one metric of success you've questioned lately, or one you wish society would value more? Share your thoughts below. But what if the real deception isn't just what we're chasing, but who we think we need to become to get it? 4. The authentic self-sacrifice. To succeed by society's definition, we often amputate vital parts of ourselves. We silence our intuition, suppress our quirks, hide our vulnerabilities. We become walking resumes instead of whole human beings. The price of this kind of success is paid in authenticity. I remember a talented artist who abandoned her creativity to pursue a practical career that slowly drained her spirit. 20 years later, she told me the hardest part wasn't the work itself. It was waking up one day and barely recognizing herself. Have you ever felt pressure to sacrifice a genuine part of yourself to fit society's mold of success? What was that experience like for you? What's truly heartbreaking is what happens when we finally achieve everything we thought we wanted. 5. The arrival fallacy. We believe happiness lives on the other side of achievement. Once I get the job, once I buy the house, once I reach the milestone. But when we arrive, the happiness we expected is nowhere to be found. This is what psychologists call the arrival fallacy. The mind that created the goal immediately creates a new one, keeping fulfillment perpetually out of reach. I've watched people achieve their dream life only to find themselves asking, is this all there is? Not because they failed, but because they succeeded at something that wasn't connected to what truly nourishes the human spirit. When was the last time you achieved something you thought would make you happy, only to find yourself quickly focusing on the next goal? I'd love to hear your experience. This realization led me to a question that changed everything about how I pursued success. 6. The backwards question. What if we've been asking the wrong question all along? Instead of, what must I do to be successful? What if the real question is, what would success look like if it emerged from who I already am? This flips the entire equation. Rather than molding yourself to fit success, you allow success to take the shape of your authentic being. I remember working with a teacher who felt pressured to become a principal because that's what career advancement looked like. When she finally honored her love of the classroom instead of chasing the corner office, her definition of success transformed. Her joy returned. She began winning teaching awards, not because she chased them, but because she was fully alive in her element. How might your path look different if success were allowed to emerge from your authentic self rather than forcing yourself to fit some external mold? Share your thoughts below. But this raises an uncomfortable question many of us spend our whole lives avoiding. 7. The identity void. Who are you when you strip away the achievements, the titles, and the possessions? Many of us fear this question because we've built our entire identity around what we do, not who we are. We've confused our value with our productivity, our worth with our output. The great psychiatrist Viktor Frankl discovered in the concentration camps that those who survived weren't necessarily the strongest physically. They were those who had a sense of meaning that transcended their circumstances. I've sat with CEOs who couldn't answer a simple question: what brings you joy outside of work? The silence was deafening. They had become so identified with their role that they'd forgotten how to simply be. If you had to describe yourself without mentioning your job, achievements, or roles, just the essence of who you are, what would you say? I'd love to read your reflections in the comments. What I discovered next about our relationship with failure completely changed my perspective. 8. The failure phobia. Our deceptive model of success has made failure into our greatest fear, when it might actually be our greatest teacher. We've been conditioned to see failure as evidence of our inadequacy rather than information for our growth. But what if the capacity to fail well is actually the secret to meaningful success? I worked with an entrepreneur who lost everything in his first business. He told me, "That failure taught me more in 1 year than my Ivy League education did in 4. It stripped away my ego and forced me to build something authentic." His second business wasn't just profitable, it was aligned with his deepest values. What's one failure that ultimately led to something better in your life? Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear right now. But there's an even more profound deception about success that most people never recognize. 9. The belonging illusion. Many of us chase success because we believe it will finally make us belong. Get successful enough, and you'll never feel like an outsider again. But here's the painful truth. External success doesn't heal the wound of not belonging. It often deepens it. The more you achieve to earn belonging, the more you fear people only value your achievement, not your authentic self. I remember talking with a celebrity who said, the terrifying question becomes, would any of these people care about me if I wasn't famous? Would I still matter? Her success had actually intensified her loneliness rather than curing it. Have you ever achieved something hoping it would make you feel like you finally belonged, only to find yourself feeling more isolated? I'd love to hear your experience. What I'm about to share next completely transformed how I understand true fulfillment. 10. The connection revelation study after study shows that the single greatest predictor of happiness isn't achievement or wealth. It's the quality of our close relationships, not the quantity of our connections, but their depth, their authenticity, their emotional intimacy. What if real success isn't what you achieve, but how deeply you connect with yourself, with with something greater than yourself? I interviewed people in their 90s, asking what they were most grateful for. Not one mentioned career achievements or possessions. Almost all spoke about relationships and moments of genuine connection. What's one relationship in your life that makes you feel successful in ways that no achievement ever could? Share what makes that connection so meaningful. But this realization leads to the most important question of all. 11. The burnout lie. We've been conditioned to believe that burning ourselves out is a badge of honor, that exhaustion is proof of ambition, that to sacrifice sleep, health, and joy on the altar of achievement is somehow noble. But true purpose doesn't demand your health, your peace, or your joy as payment. Burnout isn't a sign of productivity, it's a sign of disconnection from your body, from your values, from your inner compass. I once worked with a high-performing executive who collapsed during a board meeting. The doctors told her, "You're not sick, you're just completely depleted." That moment broke her, but it also became her rebirth. She realized she'd been chasing a definition of success that was literally killing her. Have you ever ignored your exhaustion because you thought it meant you were succeeding? What helped you wake up to the truth? Share below. You're not alone. What if the balance we're all striving for is actually part of the problem? 12. The myth of balance. We're often told to find work-life balance as if life is a constant tug-of-war between work and rest, ambition and peace, giving and receiving. But this framing itself creates tension and conflict. What we really need isn't balance, it's alignment. When your values, passions, and actions align, when who you are, what you believe, and what you do exist in harmony, life doesn't need to be perfectly balanced. It flows. You no longer feel split between competing priorities because everything serves your core truth. I remember working with an artist who struggled for years trying to balance her creative passion with a corporate job she hated. When she finally aligned her work with her values, the struggle vanished. She didn't need balance anymore because she wasn't living two separate lives. Have you ever felt out of alignment, even though everything looked balanced from the outside? What helped you course correct? Your story might illuminate someone else's path. But all of this leads us to confront the most fundamental question about success. Everything we've been taught about creating a successful life might be fundamentally flawed, not just slightly off, but backward. We've been told that success is about accumulation, achievement, and advancing, when the evidence suggests something radically different? What if the path to true fulfillment isn't about adding more to your life, but about removing the barriers to who you already are? Have you ever felt that the conventional path to success was leading you away from yourself? What made you question it? Your insight might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. What I discovered next completely transformed how I understand human potential. Here's the truth that changed everything for me. Success isn't something you chase. It's something you allow. It's not something you do. It's something you become. It's not found by running toward what you want. It's found by turning toward what you've been running from. Our greatest wounds, the parts of ourselves we've hidden, denied, or abandoned in our chase for success, aren't obstacles to our fulfillment. They're the doorway. When you finally turn toward what you've been fleeing, the vulnerability, the fear, the parts of yourself that don't fit the success mold, you don't find weakness, you find wholeness. And from wholeness comes a power and peace that no external achievement could ever provide. What's one part of yourself you've been pushing away that might actually hold wisdom if you were to listen to it? If you feel brave enough, share below. So how do we begin to redefine success in a way that actually fulfills us? Here are 3 simple but profound shifts you can start with today. First, start asking better questions. Instead of, what should I achieve next? Ask, what makes me feel most alive? Instead of, how can I impress others? Ask, how can I express my authentic self? What question have you been asking yourself that might be leading you away from true fulfillment? What better question could you replace it with? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Second, notice what you're running from. The emotions you avoid most often hold the key to what you truly need. If you flee from vulnerability, it might be where your deepest connection lies. If you avoid stillness, it might be where your clarity awaits. What feeling or experience have you been avoiding that might actually hold wisdom for you? Share if you feel comfortable. Third, redefine metrics of success. Consider measuring your day not by what you accomplished, but by moments of genuine presence. Not by problems solved, but by love expressed. Not by milestones reached, but by meaning experienced. When I began measuring my days by these deeper metrics, my entire experience of success transformed. I found fulfillment wasn't waiting at the end of some achievement rainbow. It was available in any moment I was fully present and authentic. What's one new metric of success you might try measuring in your life? Something that reflects your deeper values. I'd love to know what resonates with you. The great deception of modern success isn't just that it promises fulfillment it can't deliver. It's that it keeps us searching outside for what can only be found within. True success isn't about becoming someone new. It's about coming home to who you've always been beneath the masks and achievements. It's not about acquiring more, but about removing what blocks your light from shining. The parts of yourself that society told you to hide or fix, your sensitivity, your quirks, your wounds, might actually be the source of your greatest gifts. And the success that emerges from honoring those parts will be sustainable because it's authentically yours. A few years ago, I met a woman at a retreat who had walked away from a high-paying law career to live on a small farm. Everyone in her life thought she had lost her mind. Her colleagues, her family. They all told her she was throwing away everything she'd worked for. When I asked if she missed her old life, her answer stopped me in my tracks. She said, "I don't miss being successful. I miss who I used to be before I believed I had to be." Her eyes were soft, peaceful, and for the first time in years, I realized mine could be too. What would your life look like if you let go of who you thought you had to be and became who you already are? If you feel comfortable sharing, I'd love to hear your vision. So here's the truth most will never tell you. You don't have to prove your worth. You don't need permission to be who you are. And you don't have to chase success to feel successful. You are already enough. And you always were. The journey isn't about finding yourself through achievement. It's about remembering yourself through healing. It's about reclaiming the parts of you that got left behind in the chase. What part of your journey do you think others need to hear today? If you're ready, share it below. You never know who you're helping by speaking your truth. In our next journey together, we'll explore how to navigate the fear that emerges when you begin living by your own definition of success rather than society's. Because the path of authenticity requires a courage few talk about. Until then, remember, the wounds you've been running from might be the very doorway to the success your heart truly seeks.